Hey y'all. Um, so I'm finding it hard to be a bundle of light and positivity and support on command. So that's why I canceled today's event. And I'm just putting out a video instead. Because, there's some things going on in Michigan here that have really affected me, affected my partner. He's a teacher, affected his students, So things are just a little tough, and it's a little harder to, on command, just be positive and stuff. So I find it easier to do these things in the morning. So I'm just putting out a video. I hope you guys understand. But this is still a reading for the collective. The first deck up, I have Legendary Ladies. So without further ado, okay. Alrighty. This is Mott, or Ma'at, M-A apostrophe A-T. Justice. I guess I should show you the card. There, if it'll focus. There we go. There she is. And with these, like anything with an angel, keepers of the light, anything that has a person, I like to go through the book. Because the book gives a little bit of history. But this is someone for both of us to look into. Maybe she'll resonate with me, with you, with the way the world is right now. Maybe we'll learn something, right? So, of course, she's Egyptian. And she rules over all things related to truth and justice. So you'll be gaining fair treatment for whatever you're seeking. That's nice. That's nice to know. Maybe that means that you guys are going to totally understand. And it's not going to hurt my business in any way whatsoever. So that was Ma'at. I'll show you one more time. I moved my desk so there's a window right behind my screen, and it's really great for me. But the cards, it kind of washes out a little bit. I'm interrupting the reading because I don't want to forget to show off this piece. I know it's hard to catch all the colors because of it's so bright. But this is what we did during the intuitive art session. So the next one is Thursday the 9th. I encourage you guys to show up, You get to see how this is done. There was another one I didn't get to top coat it yet. But I love doing this. It's so shiny. This one, it is for sale, so if you're interested, send me a message. Moving on. I wanted to take another look at some archetypes. This is something that I was toying with yesterday, doing live. But here we go. We're gonna do it. There's a lot of cards. I like to shuffle well, so what I do with this big deck is I split it into two, and then shuffle here, shuffle there. And these archetypes, we need to remember, there are no bad and good archetypes. There are archetypes like the thief in here. The thief is not all just a bad guy. Okay? And if we get thief, I'll talk about him more. But, yeah. A lot of times we fall under this impression that we only have like bad and good sides to us, bad and good components, and that is not true. Those components that we deem as bad can be used in a good way. Alright, it's similar to something I always say, like I suffer depression. I speak for myself because it's for myself and from myself because it's all I really know, for sure, So when I'm isolating from depression, kind of like I was gonna today, I really try and shy away from the view of just isolation. And I view it as I'm isolating to learn. When people cram for a test, they hold themselves up. when, you know, the wise prophets of the world get their prophecies or whatever, they're usually alone, you know. So it's a great opportunity to learn more about yourself when you feel called to draw in and isolate. Try to learn, you know, ponder. All right. Just a couple more shuffles. And again, I'm just going to draw 4. Apparently we all have 12. I'm just going to draw 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, neat. So, I made like a child sandwich. So, the first and the last cards that I drew are child cards. Child is one that we all have inside of us, right? So, I got child wounded and child orphan. Oh, you can kind of, there we go. Then we got the beggar and the fool. So like beggar, like that kind of would seem bad to most people, I would assume, since America hates homeless people and poor people, you know, but it's not. I'm going to, you know, touch on why it's not a bad thing. Coffee. Oh God, I just spilled a little on my cards. Good thing I don't use this deck often. I filled my coffee a little too full this morning. There we go. No harm done. None whatsoever. Okay. See, things happen. So the child wounded. This is one, so I've kind of looked into, there are a few different other types of children. And I've tried to look into, you know, what child archetype is more pronounced or has been in past, you know, past years and stuff. Wounded is one that came up. You know, who would have thought? Probably a lot of us have wounded children in us. So the light attributes are awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children. Opens the learning path of forgiveness. That hit me like a sack of bricks, because that is all that I'm trying to do these days is reach fellow, you know, broken people, and show them that, you know, you can heal. It's not all is lost, you know, and it's okay if you can't afford therapy right now. There are steps we can do together and alone, you know, that can make you feel better. Shadow attributes. Blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds. Resists moving on through forgiveness. We all know people who be blaming everything on their childhood and their parents and their brother, their sister, the death of their dad, the death of, you know, a childhood pet or whatever. With respect and as much grace as I have right now, we need to get over it. Okay? And I know, like, it's not as easy as it sounds. It kind of is. You just have to take the steps. Okay? And, you know, I'll probably touch on some of this stuff in my workshop in January. But don't be, you know, you turn 50 years old and you're still blaming the way your life is today for things that happened 40 years ago. Right? That is just so much wasted time, so much negative energy that has been held on to. You don't have to hold on to it for that long. Forever. You make the decision, this no longer has power over me. For real. But that is the wounded child. The book gives a little bit more. I think this one actually gives a lot more because it's a child. Let me see. Determining archetypes, prostitute, saboteur. Which one? This the wounded child. Wounded child. Here we are. So yeah, I'm gonna read this little bit. It's just like a paragraph. The wounded child archetype holds the memories of abuse, neglect, and other traumas that we've endured during childhood. Many people blame unbalanced relationships with their parents that created their wounded child for all their subsequent dysfunctional relationships. On the positive side, the painful experience inherent in this archetype often awaken a deep sense of compassion and a desire to help other wounded children. From a spiritual perspective, a wounded childhood cracks open the learning path of forgiveness. The shadow aspect may manifest as an abiding sense of self-pity, a tendency to blame our parents for any current shortcomings, and to resist moving on through forgiveness. It may also lead us to seek our parental figures in all difficult situations, rather than relying on our own resourcefulness. There's that. So let's see if there's anything else. Child. So, here's just a couple bullet points about child. Variations include divine, eternal, magical, innocent, nature, abandoned, wounded, many of which are present to some degree in every psyche. One aspect is usually dominant. Choose carefully because you can have only one child archetype in your support team. I got 2 in this reading, which might tell us something. So, the wounded child, where are you? Magical, orphan, wounded. Holds memories of abuse. Yeah, we read that. Yeah. Oh, that I already just said. Look for a habit of blaming a painful childhood for all subsequent dysfunctional relationships. So there's that. Yeah, we all know these people. We've all been these people. No judgments here. I blame my dad for everything. He was an alcoholic. I blamed him for everything. Not anymore. You know, forgiving him, forgiving myself. It's all okay. Moving on. This is the beggar. This is what this looks like. And it's the beggar. Light attributes. Confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival. Awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. Shadow attribute. Dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. Okay. I need to read the light attribute again. Confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival. So, you get your power from physical survival? I'm gonna have to think about that. But awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. Nice. So that's what I mean, where, these archetypes have good and bad things, and you can use every archetype for our benefit. And these archetypes can work together for our benefit. Beggar. No need to be starving for food to be considered a beggar. May beg for attention, love, authority, and material objects. Represents a symbolic test that compels you to confront self-empowerment. Shadow beggar manifests as chronic dependence, lack of belief in your own abilities. Look for a lifelong pattern of learning about the nature of generosity, compassion, and self-esteem. It resonates with me a bit. I'm going to think about that after this video. Maybe write about it, because... Alright. This next one, my favorite tarot card. Well, one of them. They're all good. The Fool. Okay, there we go. The Fool. It's a powerful image. Light attributes fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. What a wonderful light attribute. The most empowered, enlightened response we can have to things that are not necessarily good for us, or, throw a wrench in our plans, is laughter. Just laugh at it. Shadow attributes. Using humor to wound rather than liberate. Denial of your emotional truth. So, the Fool was wearing a mask. You wear a mask, you're a fool. Don't wear a mask. You don't need to hide. We all go through things. We all experience emotions. We've all done things that we're not proud of. We all have done things that we are proud of, and that it's hard to accept that pride. Yeah, don't wear the mask. I want to see your pretty faces. Fool. Embodies ability to communicate profound messages through humor. Represents what people would like to do or say themselves. Often wears a mask that covers one's real emotions. Generally male. That's interesting. I'm going to stop there. Because I try and really get away from that dichotomy, male and female. Generally male, I'm going to view it as the guise, under the guise of divine masculine. Alright, so the fool attribute is more of a divine masculine archetype. No male female stuff. Get that out of here. Because I'm technically female. I don't really feel like one. I'm just Rosie. I'm just me. I'm just Rose, But I definitely resonate with this Fool card. And I can see how the Fool archetype and the divine masculine would play together. Okay? So, when I say stuff, when I read stuff out of the book like that, I'm probably always going to stop and do this caveat. But if I don't, that's what I am reading it as, and I encourage you to read it as the same. Okay, it's better to read it that way than go on a spiral of, gender issues or, but I digress. Dumbling doesn't so much impart wisdom as kindness and simplicity. Oh, okay, hold on. Dumbling, is that like saying the Fool? It doesn't so much impart wisdom as kindness and simplicity? Okay. Shadow Clown or Fool manifests as cruel personal mockery or betrayal. Consider your use of humor in association with power, especially in a way that's fundamental to your personal protection and survival. Self-deprecating memes. Get them out of here. That, I think, is a big Fool thing. You can use humor to cope, but you don't want to use humor as a mask. Alright, coping and wearing a mask are two different things. Coping, you're not wearing a mask. Okay, you got your tears going, but you're working through it. But you're still showing, your true self. A mask, you might think that wearing that mask is a coping mechanism, but it's really not. I really don't think wearing a mask is a coping mechanism. Not one that can be done consistently, and with positive results. So, take that mask off, find a friend, message me, I'll talk with you. I'm not gonna say I might not be able to talk you through stuff, but I'm at least a friendly listening ear, right? So get that mask off. Don't be a fool. Be the good kind of fool. Fearlessly revealing emotion. Helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. I love that. Fearlessly revealing emotion. It's brave. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I'm tired. I haven't been sleeping the best. I've been medicating to try and sleep. It's all going to be good though. I'm here. We're here. It's good. Doing this reading. I almost did yoga yesterday. How cool is that? Almost. Anyway. Child, the last one in our reading. Kind of sandwiching the beggar and the fool together. We have the orphan child. Light attributes. Independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving. Shadow attributes. Feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. I have for sure been the orphan child. Where are you? There you are. for sure. Um, Growing up, not feeling family feelings in my own family. So, my best friend's family, we go to Cedar Point every summer. They let me tag along. They would pay for me too. Like, they were the best. If you guys end up hearing this, seriously, I will forever remember those summers, and I am so appreciative of everything you guys did for me. Like getting me out of the house. Anyway, but yeah, so, you seek an appropriate surrogate families. This, I could sum it up like daddy issues, a kid doesn't have a dad, so then they look in their romantic partners, an older dude figure, or just a parental figure in general. And that's not good. We know how that ends. We know that, like, if you're an orphan child, you might have, like me, saw, like, when I was, like, 15 and a 27-year-old was interested in me, you might be like, ooh, yeah, this is, like, a really great thing, because you're trying to fill that, that dad figure in your life, and your hormones are going crazy, and whatever. But that is that. Surrogate families, inappropriate surrogate families. You can choose your family, and through the years, develop these close relationships, but you have to make sure they're appropriate, make sure they're healthy and not toxic. But that light attribute, independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving. I for sure needed to develop this. And I'm sure a lot of people, especially people with like single parents, experience this orphan child card. Going home after school to an empty house, needing to make yourself lunch or dinner or whatever it is. Maybe needing to, from an early age, get yourself up and ready for school, have some breakfast on your own. Or heaven forbid, you don't have any help with school at all, so you just have to learn to use your resources and learn, all of this stuff that when you're younger and you're kind of doing it alone, that it breeds a lot of resilience if you let it. But before I do this, let me read the Orphan Child. Best known pattern in many fairy tales. Reflects feeling that you weren't a part of your family or tribal spirit. Helps develop psychic independence based on personal judgment and experience early in life. Shadow Orphan manifests as failure to mature, an obsessive search for surrogate family structures to experience tribal union rather than moving on. Evaluate your childhood memories, particularly if your painful history arises from the feeling that you were never accepted as a family member. I was just hit. My mom was a orphan child. Her entire life she wanted to find a large family, because she wasn't allowed that as a kid. There you go. But anyway, what I was going to say is the wounded child and the orphan child. I know, like, Carolyn May says you only have one, but these play. The orphan child, they just play. The child who was never there, or that, didn't have parents that were there, was constantly alone, versus the wounded child, who also might have been alone. That's a wound. So I just think this wounded child and orphan child, I'd be willing to bet you could have both in you. Especially in the shadow attribute. The shadow attribute for the wounded child blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness, and the shadow attribute for the orphan child is pretty much like immaturity, and you're stuck in that orphan mindset. So kind of seems like they would play together. But that's what I got for you. Remember to look up Ma'at, our legendary lady for the day. There she is. Again, I'm sorry that I'm going to cancel the reading for tonight. I'm still going to be there for the intuitive art session, like for sure. I don't care what happens, but I got to do that. Thank you for everyone being understanding. As always, if you want a reading, let me know. Send me a message. We can get something scheduled. If you just want to chat, send me a message. I love chatting. I love talking to people. I love sharing our experiences. And, I've been told that I'm a really good listener. And that I offer pretty good insight into situations. So, don't be afraid to reach out. I don't bite, I promise. Might take me a couple minutes to get your message, but, I don't bite. Alright, so this is Rosemary. I didn't introduce myself at the beginning of this, but you know who I am. I'm your healing oracle, dishing out all of your witchy and healing needs. So, until next time, I'll see you on Thursday.